Nick, obviously an exciting time this weekend for the club to get back into competitive football this Sunday against Sydney FC in the Cup. First of all, a lot of new faces are around at the moment. How are the new signings settling in? And also, who's impressing so far in pre-season?
Look, it's obviously great to be back in pre-season. We know that it's only a couple of weeks before we play the game against Sydney this weekend. So, in terms of preparation, it was firstly about getting the boys back in, getting the new boys integrated, which they've done really fast and well. And yeah, look, we're preparing for the game. Very quickly into pre-season. So I think yeah, I'm really happy where the squad's at the minute. We managed to get squeezed 2 games in, which is amazing in such a short space of time. So yeah, look, we're prepared, and yeah, all the boys are fighting for positions, and everybody's desperate to play against Sydney on Sunday.
That's great, yeah, and I'm sure plenty of fans are excited to see, especially a lot of these new faces and how they're settling in. Um, what's the injury situation as well regarding any of the players? Are there any at the moment who are unavailable for Sunday's game?
No, in terms of the injury front, obviously Maresh did his ACL, so he'll be back from Brazil next week and continue his rehab. But all's going well there. He's in a real good space, and he'll come back next week and get straight into his rehab. But in terms of the rest of the group, obviously we're just over 2.5 weeks into pre-season. So apart from a little bit of soreness and tightness, which is normal, but in terms of the training load, we've obviously had to be cautious that we do have a game on Sunday. I think Sydney started back earlier than we did, a couple of weeks, but they obviously finished the season earlier, not making finals. So for that, obviously they've had a couple more weeks preparing, but we're prepared, we're ready, and yeah, the new boys that have come in, obviously Michael Roos, Paula Yongo, Nectar Triantis, more young boys coming up through the academy as well. But yeah, it's been a busy off season of some players we sold overseas, which is fantastic for the club, and that's how we survive. And again, it's really proud as a club that we are that we can provide the opportunity for players, and on top of that, yeah, we released some, we didn't renew some, and some moved on elsewhere, and yeah, we really continue to put the squad together. But the A League doesn't start for 2.5 months, so it's not a rush, and obviously the cup comes probably not a best time for all the A League teams because they're just starting back pre-season. So yeah, we're in the same boat as everybody else.
Great, yeah, and I wanted to touch on two of the new players that you mentioned there. So Michael Roos, Paula Yongo, both got on the score sheet in that behind closed doors friendly against MacArthur. How have those guys been settling in? Because I think fans especially will be really excited to see sort of this new attacking front line. Obviously, unfortunately, the departure of Virenia and with Maresh's injury, it's now up to guys like Paula Yongo, Michael Roos to lead the line for the Mariners. What can fans expect from those two guys in particular?
Yeah, look, you always anticipate there's going to be departures in the off season, but look, probably the only one we didn't anticipate was really Birighitti. Marcos, obviously he's got family in Costa Rica, and that one sort of came over a period of time where him going back to Costa Rica was the right thing for him and his family, and we weren't going to stand in his way. But obviously anticipating, and we needed more strikers in. I brought in Paul, and who's a fantastic, full of energy striker that'll score, that'll create, that will run all day long, and he's played at a very high level in Portugal. And Michael Roos, who is a massive talent, 2002 born, I think he's 19, powerful, fast, scored a great goal on the weekend against Sydney, but a player that I've admired for a long time since I first saw him playing. So yeah, obviously, not forgetting Jason Cummins in there as well, who fortunately managed to fend off competition from not only other A-League clubs but overseas. Although he had a year left on him, we knew that we needed to extend his contract, and he loves the club, and he put pen to paper. So to have him committed to the club, and all these new players around him, as well as Matty Simon, who's training at the minute, and we'll see how that goes. Obviously, that's been a long process for him, but we'll see how that goes. He's in a good space at the minute. So look, we're healthy in that space, and yeah, no, we still have players to bring in. We have to find a goalkeeper, which we're very close to. But yeah, look, there's agents sending players every day, and to be honest, we have a good scouting network where we're just making sure that we're not going to rush in and sign players when we've got 2.5 months before the competition starts.
Obviously, Birigidi being a big loss, and Kyle Rolls as well at the back. So defensively, where the club was so strong last season. I mean, the defense for the Mariners last year was really a highlight of the season. So you sort of touched on there some plans to sort of fill those positions. Is there anything you can sort of you want to reveal to fans in terms of the progress of those talks, or is this something that, as you just touched on, is sort of going to take a little bit of patience to make sure you find the right replacements?
Yeah, look, I can let you know that we have agreed a contract with a visa centre back who's played at a high level. Obviously, visa's a visa until he gets a visa and it's sanctioned and he has the medicals and all that stuff. It's not signed. So look, until that happens, we are hoping that will be completed next week and he'll be on a flight over here. And also probably another centre back as well that I know very well that we're going to look to bring in. So look, we will have strength in depth. We will have experience at the back. But right now, I mean, Dan Hall was probably one of the best centre backs in the league last year. Got a little bit of an injury, but he's back in training now and he's back to full speed. And Nectar Triantis is an exceptional young talent that we signed from West Sydney Wanderers. He's an 18-year-old he's a man mountain. He's physically very imposing, technically very good on the ball, and yeah. Then we got Cam Windust, who everybody saw last year. He played in the A-League last season, a couple of clean sheets, and he played in the final against Adelaide. So he's had good experience. Underneath that, there's a few more. Are there anyone watching the NPL this year? The boys that I've worked with for a while, in Brad Tapp and Josh Hong, and these players as well. So look, there's plenty of strength in depth. We are a young team, like we were last season. But yeah, look, there's definitely a few positions to bring in. But yeah, we're not going to rush. We're not going to rush and bring them in, knowing that the A-League doesn't start for 2.5 months. So look, our full focus now is on Sydney FC on Sunday, and the boys are prepared really well. And yeah, we can't wait for the game.
Great, yeah, and it's really exciting as well seeing how many of I guess the fan favorite players now have re-signed for the upcoming season. The likes of Harry Steele, Jacob Farrell, Benny and Kalolo. These re-signings. Talk to us about the importance of those re-signings as well, especially for some of those younger players who, obviously, the Mariners, the club now being well known for securing these young players on long-term contracts. Just speak to us about that, the importance of those deals.
Yeah, the boys you mentioned then, look, they're massively important, not only to what we built last season, but the culture of the club. And they're actually, some of the young boys you talk about there, they're now experienced at playing not only in the A-League, playing in cup finals and finals football, international football now, and getting recognised at international level. So look, for the club to get these players on multi-year contracts is a fantastic initiative from the club and myself, and as well as Richard, the new chairman, because we spent a lot of time developing these players, and why would we want to expose them, give them first team experience, and then them to be taken by other A-League clubs that maybe have bigger budgets than us and can offer them more salaries. But look, the boys that you talked about then, they all know they're in the right place for their development. The extended contracts give them the security to know that they are in the right place and they're going to continue to develop, and no doubt at some point they will go on to bigger and better things. And already this off-season, we had numerous interest and offers for the likes of Benny Nicololo and Jacob Farrell and Harry Steele. And, if they weren't contracted, no doubt they would have gone on to bigger and better things. But to be honest, them re-signing shows that they have real faith in us as a club, that they can continue their development, play more games in the A-League, get in the international setup. And from there, they're going to put themselves in the best position to go to a big club overseas. But not only that, the club will benefit by selling them and making transfer fees, because everybody knows that that's the way that we have to work, and that's how we make the club sustainable. So the club has got a plan in place for doing that, and the best way to do that is develop your own players and look to continue that scouting network that we have to find your Benny Nicololos and your Paula Yongos and all these players that have come in as well. So yeah, exciting times ahead. There will definitely be players coming in, but until they're actually signed on the dotted line, it's always hard to to reveal anything, because things change quickly in football. And yeah, we lost a couple that we couldn't afford to pay what they were requesting in their agents. So I just pulled the pin and we move on, because one thing this club will never be is a club that that pays large salaries to certain players and individuals that come in. That's not the way the club works, and I think this season more than ever, we're going to be strength in depth all over the pitch, and again, a lot of young players coming through and challenging and actually being the experienced players. So there's younger players under them challenging, and if we find players that will fit what we're trying to do, we'll bring them in because we have the funds there to do it.
What do you make of the game this weekend, coming up against a Sydney FC side who are going through the process of building their own team? What do you make of the matchup this weekend?
Yeah, it's an exciting game. I think us and Sydney would have probably preferred to play lower opposition in the first game, and obviously one of the MPL teams, considering we've only been back a short time. But like I said, Sydney will be favourites. They've been back training longer than us. They've got a massive budget. They're one of the biggest clubs, but I don't think they'd have been happy when they saw the Mariners get pulled out, because they know that we're going to go there full power on Sunday and try and get the result. Disappointed that we haven't had a home game for probably 5 years in this competition, which I find amazing. We got to the final last year, not one home game, and again this season started again with another away game. So look, it's what we're used to. We always go up against the odds, and yeah, the boys are confident, and like I said, it's going to be a good matchup. Hopefully there'll be a good crowd there, and yeah, like I said, Sydney have a massive budget, and they're probably trying to recruit, so they're the same as us. They still have vacancies to fill, but right now it's about the team that goes out there on Sunday for both teams, and both teams will go and try and win the game. So it's going to be an exciting matchup.